Call number 95, and it's a big day for him. Frank Cush said that they have got to put pressure on McMahon if the Colts are going to win this football game. We'll see if they do. It's about time for kickoff.
All right, Johnny, the Chicago Bears will receive Raul Alegre, recently acquired just before the start of the season from Dallas in a deal, who's been quite an addition to the Colts. Will kick it off, and there is Willie Galt, number 83, waiting for it. It is a short kickoff away from Galt, taken by Hutchison at the 15-yard line of the Bears. Chicago in white will start from their 28-yard line as Hutchison forced out of bounds on the near sidelines by number 26, Kim Anderson. And so the Chicago Bears will bring out Jim McMahon at quarterback. Remember, he left the New Orleans game last week with a slight injury to his neck. Suey, Payton, Bashnagel, and Marjoram, the starting wide receivers. We'll see how long Walter Payton goes. Covert with Noah Jackson back in for Rob Fada now. Neal, Kurt Becker, and Van Horn will be the offensive line. Emery Moorhead, the tight end. First down, and they have spotted it at the 27-yard line following the kickoff, and Walter Payton will try it early as he gets the first call and is buried behind the line of scrimmage as 3 Baltimore Colts were there, led by Barry Krause and Johnny Cooks, and there was nowhere to go for Payton on his first try. Defensively on the 3-4 defense, Donnell Thompson, Ernie Barnes for the injured Leo Wisniewski, and the rookie Steve Parker on the right. The linebackers are active. Braceland and Maxwell outside, Cooks and Krause inside. A small secondary, Burrows and Hatchett on the corners, Anderson and Glasgow are the safeties, and most teams in the NFL want to throw against that secondary.
We couldn't tell too much about Payton's leg. We'll keep a close eye on him because that's going to be important in this football game.
All right, so the Colts quickly have Quentin Ballard in on the nose now, replacing Barnes. First pass of the day is complete for Ken Marjoram from McMahon. It is short of the first down yardage, it appeared, by about 4 yards. It'll bring up third and about 4.
As you look at Mike Ditka, you don't think he has some lumps in his throat about the Walter Payton situation. His career record with Chicago was 4-8. Of course, that disastrous last year when they had the strike situation. But the Bears are a much more entertaining football team. They can strike. 4 of their 7 touchdowns have been for more than 21 yards, and the Colts are going to try and cut that down. They have quite a few sacks going into this football game. They didn't get too many last week, but that's going to be a concern for the Bears because the offensive line, as you know, has been riddled with injuries.
Colts have gone to a 4-3. Johnny Cooks, the linebacker, moves up to right defensive end, and it is intended, almost picked off, intended for Moorhead, and it was number 26, the nickelback, Kim Anderson, that nearly had himself an interception. However, the young Colt defense, aggressive and active, has forced the Bears in a punting situation on the first series of the game.
Here's the look, and he went for the interception. Moorhead down and out, and Anderson almost had it, and he had a clear field down the sidelines had he hung on to that ball. But the Colts are going to get it back on a beautiful day here in Baltimore. As you said, Tim, about 70 degrees, a nice little slight breeze, and it's perfect for football.
Parsons into punt, standing at his own 20. The deep man is Larry Anderson, number 30. Good kick for Parsons. Backing up Anderson inside his own 20, back to the 16 where he slips. And Anderson trying to escape out of there. Finally, the Bears pull him down from behind. And it was number 63 making the tackle, and that is Jay Hilgenberg, the backup center to Dan Neal. So the Baltimore Colts will have their first offensive possession, and they'll start from their 20-yard line here at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Mike Pagel will bring out Curtis Dickey and Randy McMillan, a fine pair of offensive backs. Bernard Henry for the injured Ray Butler, and Matt Bouza will be the wide receivers. The offensive line, Baldischweiler over from Detroit, along with Jim Mills, a rookie tackle, Hinton and Wright, the guards, Donaldson, the center, and the tight end is Tim Sherwin out of Boston College. First down in the pro set. Pagel with a long count. A short drop and a quick pass out to Henry. Henry gets out to the 30-yard line, close to first down yardage. He may have it. Terry Schmidt, starting defensively on the left corner today for the Bears, made the tackle there. And it is a first down.
And you may see a game plan coming off right on the first play of the game. Terry Schmidt has started at the cornerback, and he's noted for playing a little bit soft. He'll give you that short stuff, but every once in a while he'll take a chance and go for the interception. He got the start over Richardson, who's had a little bit of a rough start, and they're going with the experienced Terry Schmidt, who has 3 interceptions. So let's see how the Colts do that.
2 of them last week against New Orleans. Now Tracy Porter and Bernard Henry are the wide receivers. Again, a quick drop, the same pass out to Henry, this time shorter and only about a 3-yard pickup. Schmidt was there, and the linebacker Otis Wilson ranged out in the coverage as well. It'll be 2nd and 7. There's a close look at Mike Pagel out of Arizona State, recruited out of high school by Frank Kush when he was head coach at Arizona State.
He likes his old players. He's got, what, 8 Arizona State players on this team?
Defensively for the Bears, you see that front four of Hartenstein, Osborne, Hampton, and Harris. Linebackers Wilson, Singletary, Brian Cabral for the injured Gary Campbell. Schmidt on the corner with Frazier, Fensick and Bell the safeties. And it is Curtis Dickey's first carry of the day, and the Bears shut that down right up the middle. A pickup of about 1.5 yards, Mike Singletary and Todd Bell making the stop for the Bears. So it'll bring up a 3rd down for Baltimore, 3rd and 5.
Here are Pagel's last week's stats, which aren't too bad. His completion average for the season is only 47%, but 46 last week, but he had 235 yards passing. And here's their first 3rd down situation. Let's see how they handle it as Richardson is in now at a cornerback.
And Walt Williams, as well as the Bears go into their pass defense, and it was tipped away by Mike Hartenstein. The pass intended for McMillan out of the backfield. And big Mike Hartenstein is off to an outstanding start this season for the Bears. Got a big paw up on it and knocked it away. And so the Colts will have to punt.
A key play by Hartenstein, because the pass would have been completed and would have kept the drive alive. So the Bears are going to get the ball back, and they've got a kicker here that can punt that ball, haven't they, Tim?
Ron Stark, averaging 52.2, and he is last week had a 67-yarder in his game against Buffalo, so he can really kick it. This one,
well, not this time.
His best. Is that ball bounce?
Oh, it's going to be a good
bounce. Still going inside the 5. Fisher fielded it rather neatly there and managed to get back to the 10, but that turned into another beauty for Ron Stark. First in the NFL. Mark Kafensis made the tackle. His season averaged 49.5. And we have a scoreless football game when we return. A 60-yard punt for Ron Stark. He came into the game, as we said, with an outstanding average, leading the entire NFL, 49.5 yards and 19 punts the first 3 games. And so the Bears start from their 10-yard line.
Payton is not in there.
Pass on first down to Dennis Gentry. Running out of Payton's spot. He got away from one tackler and over the 10 to about the 11-yard line, so not much on the play, as good defensive work by the Colts. Vernon Maxwell, a rookie from Arizona State, making the tackle.
Well, there he is, Walter Payton. Apparently the knee is bothering him. He played that one series, and he didn't work out all week, and that really is going to have a bearing on this football game. As you know, he's been doing everything but sell tickets for the Chicago Bears, and it's on the front of the knee, it's the right leg, and the fluid accumulated during the week, so there's got to be some kind of a problem. I would imagine a little bit with the cartilage. I don't know for sure, but obviously it's hurting.
Fashnagle and Galt are the wide receivers. Moorhead in motion behind the ball. The give is to the fullback Suey, and Suey with a good hole behind the left guard and tackle digs it out to the 19-yard line. He'll be short by about 1 yard. Donnell Thompson, number 99, the left defensive end, ranging back to make the hit. Last week, kind of an interesting number up there for you, as Suey in that wild offensive display did not carry the ball one time at New Orleans a week ago. Indeed, he has carried only 20 times in 3 games for 65 yards. 3rd and less than 1 yard to go. 3 tight ends in for the Bears. Moorhead, Jay Sowley, and rookie Pat Dunsmore. Let's see if McMahon is going to hand it off or sneak it. Give us to Gentry. Gentry trying to go wide. He is buried behind the line, and they did not make it. Good defensive reaction. Johnny Cooks blowing in there and making a big play. Johnny Cooks from Mississippi State, who was on the bench as a starter last week and had some words with Coach Frank Kush, got things straightened out, back in the lineup, makes a big play.
And there you see Ernie Barnes, who's getting the start today. Everybody knifes through as the Bears elected to go wide on a 3rd and 1 situation. Anytime you go wide or off tackle or towards the end on 3rd and 1, somebody can knife through and put you in trouble, and that's just what they did.
So the Bears will have to punt again. Parsons hits it from his 10-yard line. Kendall Williams is back to receive at the 40-yard line. A fair catch signaled, and he has it at the 39-yard line of the Baltimore Colts. And when we return to Memorial Stadium, 9:18 remaining in the period, we have a scoreless football game. Frank Kush, the Baltimore coach, went winless last season in the shortened NFL season. But he has, as you can see, some affection for players from Arizona State. Now, not all of those players were recruited to the Colts by Kush, but most of them were. Now there's a total of 8 from Arizona State, and he knows those players well. And, of course, Arizona State has turned out an outstanding array of professional ball players, so he has a lot of confidence in those young men. And they are all young men in this rebuilding Colts team. Bouza and Henry are the wide receivers in the I formation. McMillan the lead back, and the pitch is to Curtis Dickey. Dickey trying to get wide to the left side, picked up about 1.5 yards before he was forced out by Al Harris. Colts felt that if they were going to run successfully today, they would have to get outside some. Their running attack is potentially outstanding with the likes of Curtis Dickey and Randy McMillan. And they felt that with great respect for the inside of the Bears line, that they were going to have to get some mileage outside. So quickly we see them trying wide here to no avail on first down.
Dickey's coming off a great game last week. He had 80 yards rushing, as you saw, and he had about another 80 in pass receiving. Tracy Porter in now for Baltimore.
2nd and 9. The tight end in motion off the wing. Pagel up the middle. It is complete to Tracy Porter for a first down to the Bears' 45-yard line. Terry Schmidt made the tackle. Gary Fensick is down and hurt, and there did not appear to be a Colt player anywhere near him. So we don't know what caused the injury. He's down in the infield grass area near second base here at Memorial Stadium. And remember, the Bears already without Walter Payton, who tried his sore knee, carried the ball on the first play, and left the game. And now Gary Fensick, a key veteran at the safety position, evidently has suffered an injury, which we could not see what the cause was. 16-yard gain from Pagel to Tracy Porter as the Colts are in Bears territory.
Okay, Tracy Porter is the fastest receiver that the Colts have, and Terry Schmidt plays off quite a bit. He went down and in as they had pretty good pass blocking, and you'll see him turn in front of Schmidt for the easy reception. Schmidt can only come up and make the tackle, so they've thrown at Terry Schmidt already 3 times in this first quarter as Gary Fensick goes off the field. Happened to Gary Fensick. He's at the right of your screen. He's dropping back. Nobody's around him. He turns, and watch him. He pulls a muscle, and it looks like his upper thigh, maybe the abductor muscle, or possibly a groin muscle, but he pulled a muscle. Nobody hit him. Nobody around him.
So they have Jeff Fisher, number 24, in the lineup replacing Fensick. It is first down for the Colts at the Bears' 45. Quick drop for Pagel. He was rushed, but completes the ball to Matt Bouza, number 85. And with a good rush from Singletary, Pagel had to release that ball quickly. Makes the first down pass play to Matt Bouza.
Yes, Singletary, number 50, didn't get there in time, but the pass was a short enough precision-type pass in front of Terry Schmidt again, as there came Singletary, but too late. And Bouza takes the ball, steps out of bounds, and it's another first down for Baltimore.
Third-year man from California. He's an interesting story. You know, he was a walk-on at the University of California, wound up becoming a starter and a star, and was not drafted by the NFL, and signed on as a free agent here in Baltimore. And here he is starting here. That is Randy McMillan. He was drafted number 1 in 1981. A flag is down as McMillan picked up about 5, maybe 6 yards off tackle left. Brian Cabral made the tackle, the linebacker number 54. Holding is the signal against the Chicago Bears. Defensive holding against the Bears. Now, penalties have been a big story for both of these teams, particularly for the Colts. Last week they had 14. The Bears had 11 in their loss, and they've been really hurting themselves. This time it's the Bears' turn.
Holding, number 68, defense. First
Jim
down.
Osborne, the defensive tackle on the left side, number 68, gets the call. The referee Jerry Seaman, and the umpire Frank Sinkovich, head linesman Leo Miles, line judges Bama Glass, back judge Paul Betts, side judge Dwayne Gandy, and field judge Bill O'Brien. The official is working today. So first down for the Colts, and it's McMillan again ripping through the left side and picking up 6, maybe 7 on the play. Otis Wilson tripped him up. big, strong Randy McMilton, 6'1", 226 pounds.
The Colts are getting some good blocking on the left side of the line there. Carl Baldesweiler threw a good block on Al Harris. And as you know, Chris Hinton plays for the Colts, the former Northwestern star who was a #1 draft choice. He's a 6'4", 282-pound guard. That's a big guard, and he can fly, too.
You know, he once played tight end in college. Chris, we're talking about Mills, I'm sorry. We're talking about Hinton. I'll come back to Chip Mills. This is McMillan blasting down to the 10-yard line. We got a report on the injury to Fensick. It is a strained groin muscle, and he is out for at least the half. McMillan, meanwhile, takes the Colts to the 10-yard line. They'll spot it at the 11. Another Baltimore first down, and Baltimore is driving as we see the two injured Bears commiserating with each other on the Chicago bench.
I'd say that takes a little bit out of the Chicago Bears' weapons for this game, defensively and offensively.
That's the 5th first down for the Colts as they are now threatening deep in Chicago territory. Out of the pro set, the give is to Dickey. Dickey is caught from behind by Otis Wilson, who couldn't quite contain him, but slowed him up enough for the rest of that Bears defensive line to stop him at about the line of scrimmage. Singletary and Jeff Fisher pinning him there right at the 10-yard line. So it'll come out as a gain of about a half yard. 2nd and goal. That marker, I guess, is just outside the goal line. A little bit hard to spot it from here, but it is just outside the goal line for a first down. Effectively 2nd and goal for the Baltimore Colts. Pagel engineering a neat drive. Give us McMillan inside. Al Harris. Nobody picked him up, and he met McMillan right at the line of scrimmage.
It was almost like a blitz that Harris came through the gap there, and Cabral went to the outside. You'll see number 90 come from the right of your screen, fill the hole with 99 going to the outside. Here comes 90, Al Harris, and that's one of those things where the Bears guessed right with a little crisscross of their defensive linemen, and that puts the Colts into a passing situation.
So it is 3rd down for Baltimore. Ball at the 10-yard line.
Al Harris is out of Arizona State, too. He knows Mr. Cush.
As is Mike Richardson, who just came in with Dave Duerson, the Notre Dame rookie, to give extra help in the secondary for the Bears. Pagel on a straight drop. Has to run out of the pocket against the rush. Pagel, a good scrambler, as you can see. Now he's got running room and a blocker. Pagel elects to throw, and it's intercepted by Leslie Frazier. Pagel threw it right at Frazier when it appeared Pagel had plenty of real estate to get to the end zone. He also may have been over the line of scrimmage when he threw the ball. But Leslie Frazier was as surprised as anybody to see that ball come to him in the end zone.
He says, I'll take it, as Pagel, who is a very good scrambler and shows his mobility here. He can't find anybody downfield, well covered, and then he turns the corner and gets back to the other side, and you'll see 53, Ray Donaldson, is out there to throw a block for him. Here's 53. If he throws that block, Pagel can go, but he decides to throw the ball. He's running left, tries to throw on the run, and it was just bad judgment by Mr. Pagel as the Bears stop the drive.
We'll be right back, still scoreless. Johnny Morris back in Baltimore moments ago. Gary Fensick was wheeled off the field here to the Chicago Bears dressing room, and as we mentioned earlier, the report was a sprained groin, and the hope that he would be back in the second half, but no more than a hope. Meanwhile, Pagel had taken the Colts right down to the 10-yard line, and as they have been known to do through the first 3 games, the Colts self-destructed, and Frazier picked up the interception in the end zone. First for the Bears. A flag is down. The pass is complete to Matt Suhey. Suhey drives through one tackler over the 35 to the 37-yard line.
Emery Moorhead, I believe, moved too soon. At least he was one of the players that moved too soon for the Bears, so that's going to be called back. As the Bears once again plagued by penalties. Gary Fensick, if that's a groin injury and they had to wheel him off like that, he must have really pulled that groin, and he might not be playing for a few weeks. And I don't want to speculate that he won't be, but a pulled groin can be very tough to come back from. For at least you got to let it rest for 2 or 3 weeks.
16-yard gain to Suhey is wiped out by this penalty. They'll back it up to the 15-yard line.
Offside, number 87.
Emery Moorhead is indeed offside.
You know something else? I haven't seen too much of Willie Gault in there.
Well,
now he's in there now, but he hasn't played all that many plays.
Line up to the left side. Bears haven't had the ball all that much here. Let's Bashnagel and Galt. That was a good long drive by the Baltimore Colts, even though it ended in the end zone interception. Salvi in motion behind the ball. A pitch to Gentry, playing for Walter Payton, and showing a little of Payton's ability here. Bounces off a tackler, and with a turn of speed, gets up to the 22-yard line. Fine effort by Dennis Gentry, the second-year man from Baylor. James Burrows, number 45, forced him out of bounds.
Dennis Gentry's a little guy, and he's had a little tendency to fumble, but he didn't that time, and great individual effort as he got away from Vernon Maxwell, went back across the field. He is, as you mentioned,
at the 32.
Out of Baylor.
First down for the Bears. They have it at their own 32-yard line. Wide to the left comes Ken Marjoram. Bashnagel to the right. Suey and Dennis Gentry, the running backs, in a wide pro set, scoreless football game. We're in the first period here with 5:21 remaining at Baltimore's Memorial Stadium. Gentry off tackle right. This time is shut down as he is hit by the outside linebacker on the left side, Greg Braceland, number 52, four-year man from California.
The word on Walter Payton is that he probably will not play in this game. So he looks like we've seen the last of Walter, and he's off to such a great start in the NFL this year, leading the conference in rushing over 300 yards and third in pass receptions with 16, threw a couple of touchdown passes, and off to a great start pursuing Jimmy Brown's record, but we're not going to see him today.
Colts shift into a 4-3 with a nickelback Kim Anderson in. 4-2 and 5 defensive backs in the nickelback Anderson, and back on the drop is McMahon. McMahon has a man open, and it is incomplete. Intended for Brian Bashnagel. Willie Galt was in the same area with him a little deeper. James Burrows was on the coverage with Bashnagel, and he could not hold on to the ball against that tight coverage.
Well, obviously somebody ran the wrong pattern. They didn't, they're right together, and that draws a whole bunch of people, and you can see a bunch of blue jerseys around as Bashnagel and Galt were in the same spot, and Burrows comes up with a good play. So something wrong with the pattern.
Bears are 0 for 2, converting on third down. Let's see what they do here on a 3rd and 8. The ball is at their own 35-yard line. Dennis McKinnon is in. 3 wide receivers. Out of the shotgun, McMahon. McMahon with a rush on, steps up in the pocket. He's going to run it. McMahon diving for the first down yardage, and he got it to the 45-yard line. So Jim McMahon, seeing some daylight, picks up another Bears first down and gets them some breathing room.
He has a bit of a sore neck, but this time, this was a good time to run because he has a great feel for when the rush is on, and he took off down the field. He had Dennis Gentry, 29, as a convoy. Vernon Maxwell, 56, comes up here, but McMahon just wisely headed for the turf, made sure that he had the first down, and kept the drive alive.
Bears with a restructured offensive line. Noah Jackson back from his leg injury at left guard, and Kurt Becker starting for Reeve Story, who went down with a knee injury. So Becker, the second-year man from Michigan. Last week the Bears gave up 8 sacks to the Saints. This is Suey. Suey has nowhere to go. He is hauled down from behind. This small but very quick Colts defense, and very hard to get any daylight on him. Steve Parker, the right defensive end, made the tackle.
And Noah Jackson, 65, came up limping with that abductor pull muscle. He's obviously not at 100%, number 65, the left guard. So Noah's hurting a little bit. Those pulled muscles, linemen don't get them too often, but Noah was telling me he now realizes what it's like to have a pulled muscle that usually the running backs or the wide receivers get.
Rookie Rob Feta, who had been playing for the injured Jackson, suffered a knee injury, and he's on injured reserve with Reeve Story. McMahon under pressure is dropped by Sanders Shiver, number 54. Backup linebacker pulls him down behind the line of scrimmage at the 45-yard line.
Sanders Shiver.
Vernon Maxwell, number 56, the rookie linebacker, is on the Baltimore sideline, so we'll try and find out if the young rookie star has been injured. Shiver is playing in his spot at the right outside linebacker. It is 3rd and 11 for the Chicago Bears. Out to the left side, Marjoram and Dennis McKinnon. number 85.
Here they come.
They give it to Gentry. Gentry takes it back to the weak side and gets to the 50-yard line, where he is stopped by number 78, Steve Parker, the right defensive end, who read that and went all the way across the field to make the tackle, showing his speed. The rookie from Eastern Illinois, out of Hamilton in the Canadian Football League, where Frank Cush coached him and talked him into coming down to join him in Baltimore.
Can you imagine what Frank Cush is thinking on the sidelines? He hasn't seen Walter Payton in there. You know, obviously you gear a defense to cover somebody like Payton, who's had fantastic days like he has had the last couple of games, and he's explaining to someone there, I can't tell behind, just what's wrong with the knee.
Parsons standing at his own 35-yard line, and the deep man is Kendall Williams at the 10-yard line of Baltimore. Parsons just got that away. Good Baltimore rush, a short punt, and it bounces out of bounds upfield. No, it stays in, but it bounces upfield near the 30-yard line. They're going to spot it where it was touched at the 28-yard line of Baltimore. So the Baltimore Colts in fairly good field position when we return. We have 1:24 remaining in the first period. There is no score. Chips from Hartford, Connecticut here on CBS Sports. There you're looking at Vernon Maxwell, and the rookie linebacker, who has just been outstanding in his first 3 games, was injured on that play, Johnny, in which McMahon dove for the first down. Apparently a block from Dennis Gentry doing the damage, and he's got his pads off, and we're not sure whether he's going to get back in. So key performers for both teams out of action. And meanwhile, the Colts have first down at their own 28-yard line. Pagel on play action up the sideline, intended for Dickey, incomplete. Dickey out of the backfield, and the ball badly overthrown by Pagel. Singletary ranging back on the coverage, along with Otis Wilson, his linebacking teammate. 2nd and 10 for the Baltimore Colts. Take a quick look at some other scores from around the National Football League. New England leading Pittsburgh 14-13 at halftime. Miami in front of Kansas City 7-6 at halftime. A couple of squeakers in the AFC. Buffalo and Houston 13-3. The Bills after a win over Baltimore last week. Cincinnati leading Tampa Bay. They continue to have their problems. The Bucks of the NFC Central 20-7 at halftime for the Bengals. 2nd and 10, Baltimore. Slot formation right, quick drop, and it's incomplete. Bernard Henry dropped the ball. Right on him out there was Leslie Frazier, number 21, so had he caught it, it would have been no more than about a 4-yard gain, but it is incomplete. Mike Pagel does not look like a happy young quarterback at the moment, but this is a scoreless football game.
And he's looking over to the sidelines to take the signals in from Zeke Bratkowski, the old Chicago Bear quarterback and coached up at Green Bay. He signals the plays into Pagel from the sidelines, so they don't have to shuttle their players too much. They just take them in from the sidelines. The Bears are doing a little bit more of that.
3rd and 10 for the Baltimore Colts. In motion, Booza up the middle. The pass complete to Porter, and he has the first down yardage. A good tackle by Jeff Fisher at the 40-yard line, but Porter hung on to get the first down for Baltimore. They're going to spot it at the 42-yard line with forward progress. We're under a minute remaining here in the first period.
They picked up Porter from the lines. He comes across the middle. Fisher is playing in place of Gary Fence. He comes up with a good tackle, but not before the first down is made. The Colts have controlled this football game so far, but no points on the board.
First down at the 42. Baltimore, time winding down first quarter. Play action, and the pass is complete. Dickey is wide open over there on the left side. Another Baltimore first down. He's forced out by Frazier and Wilson, but he has the ball in Chicago territory at the 42-yard line.
There is Zeke giving the signals in the powder blue jersey, right in the middle of your screen. He just finished giving the signals, and Frank Cush to his right there with his arms folded. And
Bratkowski, of course, hooked up to the offensive staff in the press box area. And Frank Cush does not wear the headset, but he'll be involved in all of the major decisions during the course of the game. It is first down for Baltimore. Pagel has them on the move again. They give us to Randy McMillan, and this time the Bears shut it down. Hartenstein is there, and underneath the pileup, Jim Osborne stacking up the blockers. enabling Hartenstein the opportunity to make the hit after a gain of just a yard for Randy McMillan.
A gain of 2.
Okay, let's take a look at Zeke and see if he comes up with a signal into Pagel. He has a bunch of a variety of moves that he'll give you.
You won't have time to give him.
Come on, Zeke, put in the play. Well,
the quarter has just come to a close here, and so the teams will change in as we see Mike Pagel, the young Arizona State quarterback, now with the Baltimore Colts. A scoreless football game will be returning to Memorial Stadium in just a moment. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back here at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore, and that baseball configuration will be the scene, almost without doubt, of a playoff between two other teams from Baltimore and Chicago, the baseball variety, the White Sox and the Orioles, headed for a matchup for the American League Championship. Bernard Henry and Tracy Porter are the wide receivers for the Colts, who have 2nd and 8 at the Bears 40, and the pass complete out the right side to Bernard Henry, the second-year man from Arizona State. He was hit immediately by Terry Schmidt, and it'll bring up a 3rd down, a gain of only about 3 yards on that quick flare pass.
Terry Schmidt, who lost his starting cornerback job to Mike Richardson early in the exhibition. In fact, the job was given to Richardson, and Richardson had some problems early, and Schmidt hung in there, come in on the nickel and all the varying pass defensive formations the Bears have, and has had 3 interceptions and earned the job back, at least for this week, and we'll see. They're really picking on him so far as Richardson has come back in.
Seven defensive backs are in.
Schmidt has gone to the special defense now with Richardson playing on the corner.
Yeah, 7 defensive backs in on 3rd and 5. Let's see if Pagel can deal with this. And it's tipped away by a lineman, Osborne, I believe. Got a hand on it, so they had 7 defensive backs in, and it was one of the down linemen who made the defensive play. So Pagel, unable to make the completion on 3rd down. It brings up the 4th down for Baltimore, and Ron Stark comes in to punt. He'll be standing back at his own 49-yard line.
Willie Galt is going to be back on punt returns. Maybe that's because Fisher's having to play in fencing spot, because Galt has not been used. Well, they've been sharing the duty, but usually on these short punts, they've gone with Fisher.
Only the 2nd punt of the day for Stark. He had a 60-yarder that was not one of his best kicks, but took a Baltimore bounce and rolled about 20 yards for him. Now he's trying to angle one into the corner. The left footer bounces it inside the 10. It's going to be a dandy down to the 3-yard line. Covering it down there for the Colts was Kendall Williams. And Ron Stark gets the job done. He can not only kick for distance, but also with accuracy. So the Bears will start from their own 3 when we return. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back. Vernon Maxwell, the Colts rookie linebacker, will have that shoulder that you can see, the right shoulder x-rayed at halftime. So a tough break for the Colts. And Vernon Maxwell, he only goes about 210. He's listed at 225. And there was some question that despite his ability and his strength, that size, there might be a problem for him. But in the first 3 games, it was no problem at all. But today, he has been knocked out of action and probably will not return. Moorhead and Saldi double tight ends as the Bears start from their 3-yard line following Stark's excellent punt. Straight ahead, Dennis Gentry gets out over the 5-yard line to about the 8. If you joined us along the way, Walter Payton started the game for the Bears, carried the ball on the first play of the game, and then promptly left and has not returned. A knee injury or a leg injury just below the knee suffered last week. Kept him out of practice all week. He tried in the warm-up and tried in the first series, but that's it.
The ironic thing was that he was hurt. He hurt that knee very early in that game against New Orleans, went on to play one of his better games. Obviously was warmed up and heated up and excited, and then it apparently has stiffened up, and let's just hope that it's not serious.
Bears have also lost Gary Fensick with a groin muscle strain earlier in this game, and the Colts have lost Vernon Maxwell. Leo Wisniewski is also out of action. Dennis Gentry takes a real pop from number 25, Nesby Glasgow. Gentry picked up about 4 yards before the hit from Glasgow knocked him down at the 15-yard line, I think at the 10-yard line, and it'll bring up 3rd and about 3 yards to go.
You can see the tackle pulling Van Horn, and here comes Kurt Becker, 79. He's pulling and gets his block, but here comes Glasgow coming from the inside, and he really puts a hit on little Dennis Gentry.
Gentry's got 31 yards on 6 carries so far in Peyton's spot. Bashnagel Marjoram, and Willie Galt. 3 wide receivers on 3rd and a long 3. Out of the shotgun, McMahon backs up near his goal line. Sideliner for Marjoram, cannot get it. The pass a little too high. Marjoram could not skyhook it down, so Chicago will have to punt. And the Colts continue to be very effective defensively. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or the use of the telecast without the express written consent of the Baltimore Colts and the National Football League is prohibited. Parsons will stand in his end zone to punt the ball out for Chicago, and Kendall Williams is waiting for it at the 45-yard line of the Baltimore Colts.
The Colts should get good field position out of this one.
Parsons averaging 37.6 today, and did not nail that one. It's taken by Williams at the 45 of the Bears, over the 40-yard line to the 39. He's met there by Dan Raines, but Baltimore in excellent field position as we have 12:16 remaining in the first half of a scoreless football game, but Baltimore again in good position to score. College football continues next Saturday on CBS. The NCAA Today features Pittsburgh at West Virginia, and West Virginia with an upset over Boston College. And we'll have other regional action as well. Check your local listings for the time in your area. It all starts at 11 a.m. Central Time. And as you can see, the first down play selection has been about the same for these teams, and neither team has been able to mount a scoring drive. But Baltimore here at the 39 of Chicago, after a short punt by Bob Parsons into the wind, a 34-yarder. Pagel has the Colts in good position here. Out of the pro set, Curtis Dickey trying to get wide right. He's got a blocker. He gets a good block from McMillan and has a first down. Curtis Dickey stopped by Jeff Fisher after a pickup of nearly 12 on the play.
First down yardage as they go to the outside, and you see McMillan out front. He's number 32 as Dickey gets around the horn, and there's the block by 32 on Todd Bell, 25, and he knocks Bell back so that Bell can't get the solid hit, and it's Fisher that's in on the tackle. So the Colts are down deep now.
But a nice piece of running by Curtis Dickey. Steve McMichael has come in to replace Jim Osborne at left defensive tackle.
There's an audible coming.
They give this to Dickey. Dickey trying left tackle and picks up about 5, maybe 6 on the play. Slicing through. He's finally stopped by Wilson and Fisher. 55 and 24 respectively for the Chicago Bears, and they're down to the 22 of the Chicago Bears. Randy McMillan, the number 1 choice in 1981 from the Pittsburgh Panthers. 2nd and 4. Wide to the right, Booza. Out to the left, Bernard Henry. Tightened pro set here now. Nagel taking a long count here, checking out that strung-out Bears defense. They go to Dickey, off tackle, a big hole. And he is brought down from behind by Bell and Fisher. But a good run behind excellent blocking, and a first down for Baltimore to the 15-yard line.
Chris Hinton, the left guard. Now watch the left guard. Anytime you can get the guard through a big hole, number 75 right here, everything is wide open, and Dickey gets through for big yardages. Chris Hinton, and the whole leading interference got through that gaping hole as the Colts are driving on the run now.
Dickey now has 22 yards on 5 carries. Baltimore at the 15 of Chicago. Wide left Henry, wide right Booza, and this time they stop McMillan before he can even get started. A pack of Bears led by Brian Cabral, the linebacker, blitzing number 54. Met him at about the time he had the ball handed to him. Loss on the play. See where they market it. It's going to be about a 2-yard loss. Talked about Chris Hinton, his amazing speed for such a big man. What an athlete. Remarked earlier that he had played some tight end at Northwestern, as did the other rookie on that line, the big tackle on the right side, Jim Mills from Hawaii, their 8th-round pick. They're outstanding athletes. Both had time as pass receivers despite their size. Pagel, complete to Booza. Booza's hit immediately by Todd Bell, but they will spot that at the 6-yard line, close to a first down. And Baltimore knocking on the door again. Now remember, they got to the 10 earlier in the first period, and Pagel threw a rather bad interception, to say the least, right to Leslie Frazier in the end zone. But they're getting an opportunity once more.
And that time I believe Zeke sent the play in. with Wright went in to take the play, and so they didn't need to signal. And they're down now, 3rd and a half a yard to go.
Ball at the 6-yard line of Chicago. Half yard to go for a first down. Bears load up along the front.
Look at Singletary way off the line of scrimmage. Here he comes, taken care of.
Baltimore gets the first down, driving to the 1-yard line. McMillan gets to the 1-yard line, and it is a first down for the Colts.
And that time they kept Singletary out of it because Steve Wright got in his way, and Singletary wasn't able to come in and take his dive. Boy, good power running, wasn't it?
Was indeed, and I believe that was Dickey with McMillan. The lead back was an excellent fake to McMillan. And then he gave it to Dickey, who sliced in behind McMillan's block. So it is 1st and goal for Baltimore at the 1-yard line. That is McMillan, and touchdown, Randy McMillan. So the power running of the Baltimore Colts, McMillan and Dickey, sprinkled with a few passes by Mike Pagel, and they have opened the scoring here at Memorial Stadium with 8:01 remaining in the first half. Raul Allegre will come in to attempt the point after.
And he is perfect so far this year on extra points and field goals.
6 for 6 in the point after department. And so the Baltimore Colts have taken the 7-0 lead on the 1-yard burst by Randy McMillan.
And you said it right when you said power running. There's Dickey, 33, going through first to throw a key block. And in they go for the touchdown. Good power running. The Colts did it all on the ground, almost except for one pass.
8:01 remaining first half. The Colts lead the Bears 7-0. Allegre will kick it off. 4:15 used on the clock during that drive, and Frank Kush told us yesterday, you know, we've got to keep that ball. We've got to control it. If we have a chance to beat the Chicago Bears, the wind has blown the ball off the tee. Allegre tees it up again, and there's Vernon Maxwell. He's now got pads back on, so we're not sure what that means. We'll find out. You also see they put a collar around his neck, so Maxwell obviously has said, hey, guys, tie me up and get me back in here. The kickoff taken by Galt at the 4-yard line. Willie Galt brings it up over the 25 to the 26-yard line for the Chicago Bears. And it is a 7-0 football game. Greg Graceland making the tackle on Willie Galt. A flag down back at the line of scrimmage for the kickoff, and may have had somebody offside. You don't see that too often, but the kinds of penalties that have been happening to Baltimore in the first 3 games would come as no great surprise if they had somebody offside on the kickoff.
What they have going in, 37 penalties in 3 games?
Well, and they had 14 last week.
Kicking team, re-kick, 5-yard penalty.
Now that's going to make Frank Kush add a few more gray hairs.
That's because Willie Galt gets a chance to get his hands on the ball once again, and he's, of course, an explosive threat, and Frank Kush doesn't like that. I think you hit it on the head, Tim, when you mentioned about controlling the ball. Kush said that's what we got to do, keep that Bears potent offense off the field as much as we can. Conversely, Mike Ditka said yesterday that the threats and what he has to watch out for are the 2 running backs in Baltimore. And he says because they can control the ball on you, Dickey can cut back on you. They weren't worried so much about the receivers. They were worried about the running backs, and his worry has come true.
Well, that's right. And, you know, we count 4:15 on that scoring drive. Remember, early in the game, they had a long drive that used up a lot of the clock. They got to the 10-yard line, and Pagel threw the intercept in the end zone. But, again, they had a very consistent, sustained offense during that drive that kept the Bears from having the football. Chicago has really not had a chance yet to do anything offensively. And, of course, when they get the ball, they'll be playing it offensively without Walter Payton today.
And they don't seem real inspired out in that football field so far today.
Anthony Hutchison is the deep man now, and Allegre kicks it from his 30-yard line this time. It's going to be taken by one of the up men, that is Mike Richardson, number 27. The cornerback shakes a tackle, and Richardson running well up over the 45-yard line, but a flag is down back at the 32. Cliff Odom forced him out of bounds. Reserve linebacker number 49, but this time the infraction is probably against Chicago. having a hard time getting a kickoff play completed here. Raul Alegre, maybe he got in on that tackle. I didn't see that, but it looks like he's favoring his shoulder. He may have to kick it again here. Fortunately, he doesn't kick with his arm, but may affect his motion in some way.
Well, that's what he gets for kicking a short one. You have to get in on the tackle when it's short like that, right?
That was a clipping call against the Bears. I guess that's the only weakness they have found in Alegre here in Baltimore, is that he does not kick the ball into the end zone on kickoffs. Now, mind you, that time he was from the 30, but he hadn't kicked the first two in either.
Personal foul, clipping, number 51, receiving team during the return.
That is new linebacker Kelvin Atkins, signed this week by the Bears after the injuries to Gary Campbell and Jerry Muckenstern forced them on to injured reserve. Atkins and Dave Simmons, a former Colt, number 57, have been added to the Bears special teams. So it is first down from the 17-yard line of Chicago. McMahon throwing on first down to the tight end Saldi. A flag is down again. Saldi is close to first down yardage. Shiver and 45 James Burrows made the tackle for the Colts. The flag is down near where McMahon was delivering the football.
Maybe roughing the passer after he got rid of the ball. McMahon took a pretty good shot after delivering the football. Now you see Willie Galt and Dennis McKinnon come in, and I don't know, Galt is getting half time or less in this football game. I would think, especially with Walter Payton out, you got to have Galt in there all the time.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 95, defense, blow to the head, first down.
Ernie Barnes giving McMahon a little shot. We'll try and pick it up. Number 95, the rookie free agent playing for Wisniewski.
Right, he comes straight up the middle, number 95, and gives, he really tapped him on the side of the head, let him know he was there. Ernie Barnes getting a start today, and he's trying to make the most of it, but it cost his team some valuable yards. And that, he's basically a defensive end, but he's playing the nose guard because Wisniewski is hurt.
Last week, Barnes picked up a very costly penalty for them in the Buffalo game when he kicked a flag after a penalty had been given to Barry Krause for unsportsmanlike conduct. He picked up a second one, and it led to the winning touchdown for Buffalo. So here again, with his team in front 7-0, he has made a rather bad misplay.
Gentry's out here on the flank, way out as a receiver.
Quick drop by McMahon. It's out to Gentry. Gentry tried one move inside. What a nice open field tackle. Number 29. That is Mark Kafensis, second-year man from Hawaii, who's in as the extra back in the secondary, and he just absolutely nailed Gentry, who tried to juke him to the inside.
That tells us that with Gentry out there playing on Payton's spot, that the Bears had plans to put Payton out on the flank and throw him passes. But of course it's Gentry because of the injury to Payton, so that was another new spot for the running back.
It is second and a long 3 as Gentry managed to get 7 despite the good tackle by Kafensis. Out of the I formation, Bashnagel and Galt. Now they shift to the pro set. Again, a quick drop and a quick pass intended for Galt behind him as McMahon rushed that a little bit. Burrows on the coverage. It'll bring up third down.
Now there was a mistiming that really shouldn't happen. You practice the hitch pass, how many steps you're going to take, and the timing on that time and time again during the practice, and there's really no reason to have a miscue on that. Looks like he might have, it's hard to say whose fault it was, whether McMahon just threw behind him too much or whether Galt went a little too far, but it shouldn't happen. That's the easiest pass there is between a quarterback and a receiver.
Bears are 1 for 5 on third down conversions, and they've got to get something going. So this becomes one of the big plays early in the game, although it is just a 7-0
Here they
lead.
come, everybody.
Blitz is on, and they have sacked him. Johnny Cooks, the linebacker from Mississippi State, coming off a little father-son session with Frank Kush after he was benched last week, and fired up comes in with a sack. Second sack of the day for Baltimore, forcing a punting situation. Remember, we've got lots more exciting football coming away this afternoon on CBS. In the Chicago area, you will be seeing, most of you will see Washington at Seattle, a pair of 2-1 teams, the Super Bowl Redskins, and some of you will see the Rams at the Jets, and that should be some kind of a high-scoring battle, with Johnny Robinson having the Ferragamo-led Rams doing a good job, and the Jets have been somewhat of a disappointment to their fans. It is fourth down. Parsons, who's not really nailed one, gets a good kick away this time into the wind. Kendall Williams is nailed at the 15-yard line. Dave Duerson and Anthony Hutchison combining to drop him as soon as he caught the football. So a good special teams effort by the Chicago Bears on that play.
Anthony Hutchison, I think he can be really a good football player if he ever gets the chance to play aside from special teams. They really put the clamps on him here. It's a 2-for-1. Who got him first? Well, I'd say it's about a tie. Duerson and Hutchison.
45-yard punt for Parsons, making up somewhat for a couple of short ones. We'll be right back. In Memorial Stadium, which is not unusual, it has affected the punting somewhat, but Parsons just nailed a 45-yarder for the Bears, and it's first down for Mike Pagel, who was 8 for 13 and 84 yards. A sophomore quarterback from Arizona State. They line up in the I with McMillan the lead back. In motion, Boozy back toward the ball, and the give is to Dickey. Dickey is dropped right at the line of scrimmage as the Bears just strung it out over there and gave him nowhere to go. And Osborne, the tackle, 68. Todd Bell, number 25, in on it. Looking elsewhere at the scoreboard around the NFL, look at this. St. Louis 7-5, and that 2-point differential to make the 5 was a kickoff fumbled out of the end zone by Randy Love, and so it stands 7-5. Meanwhile, Minnesota with Steve Dills at quarterback, leading Detroit 17-7 at halftime. New England ahead of Pittsburgh 21-13. It is second down and 9 for the Baltimore Colts. This is Dickey's got running room, and Dickey pulled down by Singletary after a gain of about 6 on the play. Bell in on it as well. Al Harris and Curtis Dickey really seem to be developing into a solid, consistent runner this year for the Colts in the early going. He's got 28 yards. He had an 80-yard afternoon last week against Buffalo, and then didn't talk to the press afterwards. I'm not sure what that was about.
What's he want?
I don't know. They're not going to talk to him if he only gets 10 yards rushing, so I guess he's decided he's not going to talk to them if he gets 80 or 100. 30 yards on the day, 7 carries for Dickey now, and it is 3rd and 3 for the Colts. They're at their own 23-yard line. McMillan, good pop on McMillan, and he is short of the first down as the Bears rise up. Jeff Fisher came up from the safety position, and at the bottom of that stack, Dan Hampton, number 99.
Yeah, it was Dan Hampton who knifed through there to disturb the ball carrier and allow everybody else to come up and make the tackle. But it was number 99, Dan Hampton. Take a watch, take a look at Hampton as he comes over right there and upsets McMillan just a little bit and takes away his momentum, and everybody else came in on the tackle. So the Colts are going to have to punt.
Ron Stark standing at his 10-yard line, and it is Willie Galt back at the 30-yard line of the Chicago Bears. 7-0, Baltimore leads it. 3:51 remaining first half.
That's going to get a good bounce. Whoops.
Bounces upfield and is down at the 42-yard line, so the Bears start with pretty good field position, with lots of time remaining here in the first half to try and get this tied up. We'll be back with 3:43 on the clock. A Chicago first down upcoming from their own 44-yard line. They trail 7-0. 41 yards, well below his 49.5-yard average, giving the Bears good field position. And guess who's back in for Chicago? Walter Payton, number 34. Now, you know, what an amazing guy he is, but is he bionic? And did he force his way in there? Did he go to Coach Ditka and say, hey, I know I'm sore, but I got to get in here. We're not doing anything out there. Calvin Thomas, number 33, is in at fullback. He's the lead blocker. Payton picks up about 3. Pulled down from behind by Cooks and Krause, the inside linebackers in the 3-4. McMahon is 4 of 8 for 27 yards, so he has not been scintillating so far today for the Bears, who have 81 total yards to this point, 3:22 remaining in the first half. There's Ed Hughes, the offensive coordinator with a baseball cap, looking at his short list, and the play is already in for 2nd and 7. They send out Dennis McKinnon wide left, Marjoram wide right, and Galt in the slot. There are 2 extra defensive backs in for Baltimore. Rolling is McMahon. Oh, upfield wide open is Galt. Galt forced out of bounds. He has a first down at the 28-yard line. And McMahon is slow to get up as he took a hit just after he released the ball.
I think it was Donnell Thompson who hit him from the backside. He didn't see him coming, and he got the completion down to Willie Galt, who came back. But watch Thompson as McMahon quickly went out of the pocket, doesn't see him coming, takes the throw, and here comes the hit. Boy, does he take it. And Galt adjusts to the ball, and here he is. Here's a good shot at it.
Donnell Thompson is certainly their top defensive lineman. And he is a youngster as well, but is a third-year man, their second pick in 1981. The man they're trying to build a defensive line around. First down for the Chicago Bears in Colts territory. Threatening now at the 27-yard line. Wide pro set to give us to Payton, trying the short side. Payton has nowhere to go, is spun out of bounds. Hit first by number 29, Kafensis, and then Steve Parker, who is an extremely fast defensive end, 235-pounder out of Eastern Illinois. We mentioned earlier the rookie played for Frank Cush with Hamilton when Cush was coaching up in the Canadian League, and Parker was actually cut by Hamilton, and Cush got him quickly down into Baltimore, and here he is now starting.
And Payton's going out of the game. Gentry is back in. It didn't look like he really turned it on that end run. However, he was waiting for a little crease to cut off the field, so it's not, we can't really judge from that play, but he's back off the field again.
2nd and 7. They're going to 3. They have all wide receivers out. They've got nobody back there, and McMahon maybe was lonely. He's called a timeout. So a timeout is called by the Chicago Bears with a 2nd and 7 at the 24-yard line of the Baltimore Colts, and Baltimore leading this game 7-0 with 2:47 on the clock. Calvin Thomas comes back into the ball game now. It may have been that they didn't have the right lineup on the field. Let's take a look at the action in the NFL next week here on CBS Sports. In the Chicago area, fans will be seeing the Detroit Lions and the Los Angeles Rams at 2:30 Central. And of course, for the Detroit Lions, who are trailing today, it is a big game. They've got to get something going, as they are also 1-2 along with the Chicago Bears. The Rams still somewhat of a mystery team under rookie coach John Robinson, and the Rams standing at 2-1.
And the Lions could end up, they could be 1-3 after today, couldn't they? Aren't they losing to Minnesota?
Yes, they are.
The Vikings have a chance to go 3-1 in that Central Division today.
There we have the timeout picture here as Chicago has taken their first of this half. Van hits back in. Baltimore has not taken a timeout as yet. Krause comes on the field defensively for the Colts, number 55. Thomas is in the lineup now. Johnny, you can only speculate here, but McMahon decided immediately to take a timeout, and as soon as he did, they sent Thomas in as a running back. So whether they didn't have the right complement of players on the field for the last play is
that was it. I think they had too many receivers and no running backs.
They definitely had no running backs.
Well, Gentry was in, but he was out on the flank.
There is Thomas lined up now behind the quarterback, and they've got 2 tight ends in as well. Solly's on the left side. McMahon, he's got a man open goal. It's tipped away, and a beautiful diving defensive play by James Burrows. Number 45, perfectly timed leap at the ball because Galt was behind him.
There was a case where you saw the burst of speed by Willie Galt as he got by Burrows, and the pass was there, but Burrows just made it, number 45, a good job of recovery. Takes his dive and just barely ticked the ball and knocked it off so that Galt could not make the reception, but Galt was wide open.
We have here now your basic big play time. It is 3rd down, and it is at the 24-yard line of Baltimore. 2:43 on the clock. Bears trail 7-0. Gentry is the lone setback. Now off on the wing comes Jay Saldi, number 81.
Safety blitz.
He is sacked. This young Colts defense comes up with another big play. It is Kendall Williams, the safety blitz. Van Horn was injured on the play. The tackle, number 78.
Well, that would be another blow to the Bears. They have enough problems in the offensive line. You'll see 44, Kendall Williams, come through from the right side. He gets through a gap here, and there it is. As McMahon was forced to move in the pocket, they put the all-out blitz and had no chance, and so it's going to be a fairly long field goal attempt by Bob Thomas. The ball's at the, what, 27 27.
Yes, it's been spotted at the 27-yard line following the sack. You see Van Horn being helped off. That'll bring Andy Frederick, the former Cowboy, onto the field, number 71 at right tackle. Kurt Becker is already in at right guard for the injured Reeve Sori, who's on injured reserve. Becker starting today. Noah Jackson back in action but playing hurt at left guard. And, of course, the rookie Colbert at left tackle.
Boy, the Bears have really been suffering the sacks. They had 16 going into this game.
That's 3 today. Bashnagel will hold for Thomas from the 35. A 45-yard attempt in swirling wind. And he has got it. A 45-yard field goal for Bob Thomas. And that is an excellent kick because the wind here has been swirling around in this first half at Memorial Stadium, and it's very difficult for the kickers to really get a fix on it. So Thomas comes up with a big field goal there to get the Chicago Bears on the scoreboard here with time winding down in the first half. 2:09 on the clock. Thomas with a 45-yard field goal completing the Bears drive. As they were stopped by some very active and aggressive defensive play by the Colts, but Thomas came up with the 45-yarder to make it 7-3. Remember, following our telecast today, we will be joining Seattle at Washington at Seattle, make it. And some of you will be seeing the Los Angeles Rams at Shea Stadium in New York against the Jets. So 3 2-1 teams, 1 and 2 team involved in our doubleheader action this afternoon. Later today here on CBS Sports.
The Bears are short one man out on the field. They're trying to get somebody in the game. Nobody wants to come in.
Now it's going to be Bashnagel coming on, and well, they had a couple of offers over there.
I don't blame him.
Kurt Becker had a drink in his hand.
Team either.
Kurt Becker had a drink in his hand, some water and a cup, and he started out onto the field with a drink in his hand and a helmet in the other, and he was willing. But you know, those are the kind of things that'll drive Dick wild. They've just they've got to be concentrating more. They've got a couple of new men on the special teams today, the new linebackers, but nonetheless, you've got to be organized.
There, as you look at that drive, and you can see that Bob Thomas is kicking a bit against the wind here. The Colts could have a chance for a good return.
Thomas gets a high kickoff, and he's got some good distance on it, down at the 5-yard line. And that is Rick Porter, number 20. Porter running hard, gets up to the 35. Good return for Rick Porter, acquired from the Detroit Lions, along with Tracy Porter, no relation. Bashnagel made the stop.
Brian Bashnagel is the last man who came in. He's the one that volunteered to come in on the kickoff team, and he must have wanted to play because as he'll come down, he'll be in on the tackle. Number 84, Brian Bashnagel. He's letting the outside man make the determination for the runner, and Bashnagel gets in on the tackle. One of the few men who played in 4 straight Rose Bowls for Ohio State.
You know, seeing him yesterday in the hotel, we just had that brief chat with him in the hallway. He's not a big man. You know, you look at him, he doesn't look like an NFL football player, and yet he is one of the toughest guys on that football team. And as you can see, while he is a receiver, he can go out there and hit people too. Injury on the Colts. That is Pat Beach, the reserve tight end, number 81, being helped off. And so we have the 2-minute warning sounded. And the Colts will be starting from their 22-yard line when we return.
There's Gunther Cunningham, defensive coordinator, lining up the Bears offense, and they're trying to figure out, I believe, blitzes. He's going to tell them how they're going to play the Bears when they get the ball.
Meanwhile, a personal foul clipping penalty against Baltimore dropped that good return by Rick Porter back to the 22-yard line, so they'll start from there with 2 minutes to play first half. 7-3, Baltimore leads it.
The Bears are in a 3-4.
Mike Pagel, deep drop this time, screen pass. Blockers in front of Dickey. Dickey running hard, he's got room. Forced out by Frazier down the sideline, but he is all the way into Bears territory at the 47-yard line.
Nice time to call a screen pass. The Bears were in a 3-4. They dropped the linebackers off, and there's a badly missed tackle by Al Harris on this play for Dickey to go. As he cuts up the field here, you'll see number 90 right there. Al Harris had him. He gets away. He's so strong on the legs. And finally, Leslie Frazier, 21, knocks him out of bounds. But good running by Dickey and some fairly sloppy tackling by the Bears.
Nice start to a 2-minute drill for Mike Pagel and company. 28-yard gain, another deep drop. Deep sideline pass, incomplete. Bernard Henry dropped the ball. Frazier on the coverage. 1:46, the clock stopped. 2nd and 10 at the Bears' 47-yard line. Colts lead at 7-3. Alvin Moore in the lineup at running back for the Colts. Frank Bush on the left side there with Zeke Bratkowski doing the signaling routine. We asked Mike Pagel about that yesterday. So, how much time do you spend on learning those signals? Really, most of it is done in training camp, and they just kind of review it, about 5 minutes a week. It's kind of interesting. It seems more complicated.
Tracy Porter's in at that one wide receiver spot, and look at this.
Complete to Booza. Booza inside the 30. Matt Booza, Singletary, and Jeff Fisher on the tackle, and the Colts threatening again at the Chicago 28-yard line. Timeout called by the Colts with 1:38 on the clock.
Good pass blocking, and Booza he was in the slot that time. Tracy Porter was on the outside. He just found the zone and beat the defense there. Singletary just slid away from him, and Booza's not real fast, but he's real adept at finding the open spots, as the Colts have plenty of time for this drive. They're down to the 29-yard line, and took a timeout to get everything organized as the band is ready to come on the field. But wait, there's plenty of time in this half. 2 timeouts for each team left.
Matt Booza is certainly a good example of the work ethic in football, because he was listed about 4 deep among the wide receivers during the training camp last year here in Baltimore. And we said earlier he had been a walk-on at the University of California, made the varsity, went on to letter and become one of their receiving stars, number 85. And then he comes to the Colts as a free agent. Nobody drafted him. He signed with the Colts out of the University of California and started behind a whole bunch of receivers, including veteran Randy Burke. Winds up as the starter last year and the starter again this year. One of those reliable guys, good hands, intelligent, route runner, and doesn't have a whole lot of speed, which Frank Cush acknowledges is a problem in the receiving corps, especially with Ray Butler injured and out with his separated shoulder. They don't have a lot of speed at wide receiver. 7 defensive backs are in for the Chicago Bears. First down, 1:38 to play first half. This is Alvin Moore, and he picks up about 5 before Jim Osborne hauls him down. Alvin Moore, yet another Arizona State rookie.
He's going to call a penalty, I believe, against Osborne, probably face masking or something along that line, as they just ran power football, brought the guard. Chris Hinton came through the hole too, and they just bulldozed the Bear defensive line, and Osborne got his hands hung up in the masks, and he's arguing about it. Jim Osborne, who's had an excellent year, has been around a long time for the Chicago Bears. He's a tax accountant during the offseason.
Face mask, number 68, defense, 5-yard penalty only.
So it's ruled not intentional.
We'll mark it at the 19-yard line. First down and about a yard to go with that penalty marked off of 5 yards.
Blitz.
They lob it up, a timing pattern to Henry. Touchdown. Bernard Henry. Perfectly timed throw. Leslie Frazier on tight coverage, but Bernard Henry, the second-year man, pulls it in.
An obvious nice checkoff by Pagel. He saw the blitz, and then the receivers just go straight down the field, and you put it up and give the offensive man a shot to go for the ball, and he had just it really was a perfect pass. That was the key to that reception. Good play. The Colts have a solid lead now.
Ron Stark will hold for Raul Alegre, the Mexican native from the University of Texas. There's Bernard Henry, free agent from Arizona State. Alegre, it looked like that was tipped, and it is wide and no good, as a Bear player got a hand on it. We didn't see who, but somebody got a piece of that point after try of Alegre's, and that's the first one that he has missed in 4 games.
Well, you have to give a lot of credit to Mike Pagel on that play. And he really picked up the blitz, called the quick audible. The receivers picked it up. They knew they were going to have tight coverage because of the blitz. The Bears automatically usually go into that nose-on coverage and try and run with the outside guys, and the pass was perfect. That's the way the Bears got beat in the first game of the season against Atlanta. Same situation. This time it was Leslie Frazier who was good on the coverage, but the offensive man will always have the advantage as that ball was coming down in the end zone, because he invariably turns his head first and spots that ball because the defender playing so tight has to run with him and cover the man.
Well, that's a big point after the situation, because as anybody with rudimentary knowledge of mathematics can figure out, a converted touchdown and a field goal can tie it up.
Okay, the Bears have Anthony Hutchison back deep now instead of Willie Galt.
Richardson and Gentry are the up men, as we see the Baltimore Colts quickly scoring on a 19-yard pass play to Bernard Henry, and Dan Hempton apparently was the man who blocked the point after try. A ground ball is fielded by Todd Bell for the Bears at their own 34-yard line. 1:27 still remains in the first half, so let's see if the Bears can turn this short kickoff into a scoring opportunity before the half comes to a close. Coming up at halftime, of course, we'll have a quick look around the NFL. Brent Nerve with scores and highlights, and the Legends of the Game feature today is Don Maynard, the former New York Jets receiver of the great glory years, particularly 1969 Super Bowl victory. Out of the shotgun, McMahon, first down and 10 for the Bears, who have got time to get points. They give him time. Now he's forced out. Unloads the ball, intended for Bashnagel, incomplete. Kendall Williams on the coverage. The charge on McMahon was led by Johnny Cooks, the linebacker number 98.
Well, he is after Jim McMahon, isn't he? He's a little bit ticked off because he was benched last week and had a little talk with Frank Cush. And Frank Cush said it was father-to-son talk. Cook says, no way, father to son, but he said it wasn't quite that way, but they did come to a meeting of the minds. Now, I don't think the Colts are going to blitz too much. They're going to go with the 4 men because they're putting quite a bit of pressure. Everybody's going to be dropping off. The Bears should have some time to throw the ball. If they don't, you know that offensive line is really breaking down.
3 wide receivers.
Evans in there?
Markham and Bashnagel, and Vince Evans is hit just as he tried to throw the football. And what are they calling it? An incomplete pass is the signal, as he was in the throwing motion. Thompson and Cooks were the 2 who nearly had Evans sacked. Suddenly, Mike Ditka sent Vince Evans in here on second down.
And it was a 4-man rush, and they came through like there was nobody in front of him. He had no chance to throw the ball. Everybody was there. A 4-man rush with 6 blockers, and he gets through slick and clean almost.
Bears on third down are 1 for 7, and again another critical one here. If they have any chance for points in this first half, they've got to convert this one. And it is Vince Evans, number 8, the quarterback from USC, came into the game late last week against New Orleans. The 7 for 14, rolls to his left and upfield. He's got a man open, and it is incomplete. It's dropped by Willie Galt. The ball just a little bit behind him, but Galt should have made the catch there. So they will have to punt.
Here's the pass. It was down there a little bit behind him, but you were right, Tim. It was a catchable ball. Whether he would have come down in bounds remains to be seen. But anyway, the Bears are going to have to punt.
So Parsons from his own 20 hits from the 25. Good kick by Parsons. Outstanding. Drives Williams back to the 15-yard line. He's going to try to return, and a good open field tackle by Anthony Hutchison as he tripped him up, and he fell forward to the 19-yard line of the Baltimore Colts. And 1 minute remains on the clock, so Baltimore still with a chance to make something happen. A 50-yard punt by Bob Parsons. Had trouble early and has boomed his last couple.
We'll have to check and see if McMahon got hurt, or whether because it was late in the half there and he got shook up, he wanted to bring Evans in, hoping that maybe he could do something, as he did last week when he called Vince Evans in to see if he could shake up the situation. We'll have to wait and see.
Hagel, the quarterback for Baltimore. Everybody out. And the pass intended for McMillan was thrown just slightly short.
He did that on purpose.
I would say.
The screen was not set up, so he just threw it down at his feet so he couldn't catch the ball because McMillan is running almost towards his own goal line to catch that pass.
Flag down upfield on the play, Johnny, and it is signaled against the Bears, so that turned out well all around for Pagel. And a rather intelligent play by him to throw that ball into the dirt. And again, they'll march it off against the Chicago Bears. Pagel is 11 for 18, 151 yards in this first half.
12 men on the field. Defense.
Oh, my goodness. 12 men on the field. There's another mental error, obviously, because they had a situation on a kickoff where they didn't have 11 men to kick it off and got a volunteer from Baschnagel. So Pagel with 55 seconds left. Colts still have the ball. They go to Dickey, and the Bears stack him up. That is Al Harris, number 90, making the stop right at the line of scrimmage as time winds down. And be sure to stay with us at halftime. We'll have the NFL Today with Brent Musburger and Irv Cross. Scores and highlights. And our Legends of the Game feature Don Maynard. 2nd and 5 as the hurry-up is on. And look at Pagel run up the middle. Pagel has a first down to the 45-yard line. He's met there by Dave Duerson in at safety number 22. There's an extra defensive back. Timeout called by the Colts. And Pagel quickly called it as he sees an opportunity to make something happen with 25 seconds on the clock. 17-yard run by Pagel, who came into the game with 47 yards rushing on 4 carries.
It looks like there's a penalty on the play that's going to go against Baltimore, so now we may have a situation where they'll run out the clock. The Bears are going with 5 defensive linemen and a whole bunch of defensive backs now in this situation.
This is a march off back to the 25-yard line. See what referee Mary Seaman has to say.
Number 87, offense. Timeout.
That is Tracy Porter called for offside, as the Colts are still in the timeout called by Pagel. Tracy Porter came over from the Detroit Lions earlier this season, just prior to the start of the regular season. Third-year man from LSU.
You know, I don't think they will pull in their horns. 25 seconds, one good completion could maybe put them into field goal range. And Frank Kush, with the team at 1 and 2, a victory is needed. He just may go for it.
Colts lead at 13-3 with halftime approaching. Each team having their problems with penalties again, as they have through the first 3 games. And the Bears have picked up 5, 35 yards. Baltimore 4 for an equal amount of mileage. There's Jim McMahon. You can see in the background behind Dennis Gentry, number 29. And we are waiting a report on whether he was hurt or not. May not have been. This is Randy McMillan, and McMillan is forced out at the 32-yard line. They stop the clock with 20 seconds left. Duerson and Frazier for the Bears force him out. Bears have Frazier, Duerson, Fisher, Williams, all in the secondary.
McMichael.
And up front, McMichael, Hampton, Harris, Osborne. And Hartenstein, 5 down linemen. 20 seconds on the clock.
So there's not a linebacker in the game, is there?
Nope.
Harris plays linebacker.
No, but he's up in a down
he's in a down position.
He's playing left defensive end here. And they give it to McMillan. McMillan is met by Todd Bell. Tripped up by Duerson. And they get to the 35-yard line, and they're going to let this one wind down now. So halftime approaching here in Baltimore, and the Colts have taken a 13-3 lead into the locker room at Memorial Stadium. And let's go to New York and Brent Musburger.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. Irv, let's get everybody in Chicago up to date. Is that the longest first half you've sat through in a while? Now, St. Louis and Philadelphia, and this has been war. The Eagles have had at least 6 players down with injuries. Both quarterbacks were knocked out. Jaworski has returned. I don't think I've seen a quarterback take a hit quite like this year, Irv.
That's really brutal, but they'll pick up Jaworski here on a pass that's batted up in the air by the Cardinal defensive line. Grooms comes up with the interception, and they recover in scoring position.
Now, Jim Hart was back to pass here. He was under heavy pressure. He took a lick, and then he threw the touchdown pass to Doug Marsh. Now, Jaworski here to Michael Haddix, and Haddix off right tackle for the touchdown. The Cardinals, of course, are trying to win for the first time this season. And again, the Eagles lead 11-7. Field goal, safety, touchdown, missed extra point there. New England and Pittsburgh. And we have an update. The Steelers have just gone ahead, 23-21. About 5 minutes now left in this game. Franco Harris, as you probably have heard, he passed O.J. Simpson. He's just behind Jimmy Brown now on the all-time rushing list. Houston and Buffalo. Earl Campbell has rushed for 142 yards. Joe Cribbs for Buffalo for 145 yards. Each have scored a touchdown. Late in the fourth quarter, the Bills over the Oilers by 3, 16-13. Detroit and Minnesota. The Lions have battled back. They trailed by 17. Now they are deadlocked. They are in the fourth quarter. And Bud Grant had Steve Dills playing quarterback, of course. In place of the injured Tommy Kramer, he goes to Bob Brewer for the touchdown here. And then, Irv, it was Bud's special teams.
Biggest play of the first half. In the second quarter, the Vikings wind up blocking a punt. Now watch, Michael Block, the kicker here. Black is in the end zone. The ball is blocked by Sindeline and recovered by David Huffman.
Eric Hipple dropping back, going over the middle to Mark Nichols. This is a 41-yarder, and it got the Lions on the board for the first time, and again, they have come back to tie the score at 17. Now, Cincinnati and Tampa Bay. Cincinnati has led all the way. It is now 23-17. The Bucs are rallying in that game. Kansas City and Miami. The Dolphins have turned the ball over 7 times, but still they lead the Chiefs 14-6 in the fourth quarter. New Orleans and Dallas. And what a Donnybrook this has been. The Saints have just gone ahead with a touchdown, 19-13. Danny White got the Cowboys started early.
Got him started early, scoring in the first quarter, hitting his favorite receiver, Drew Pearson, for a 4-yard touchdown pass. And looked like the Cowboys had things going their way.
Because right after that, Ron Fellows intercepted a pass. Raphael Septien kicked a field goal. But apparently this Cowboy team cannot stand prosperity. Bum Phillips says, we ain't about to quit. Do you realize that since 1975, only 4 coaches have beaten Tom Landry and in Irving, and he is one of them, Bum Phillips. There's Wayne Wilson going in for one of his 2 touchdowns. They kicked the extra point, and now they're up by 7, 20-13 in the fourth quarter. And, of course, the game you're watching, and if you're a Bear fan, you know what the problem is. No offensive line. 13-3. Let's send you back to Baltimore and Tim Ryan. Tim?